certainly does not do that.
I call Jan Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill represents the biggest shake-up in education this country has seen in decades. And this comes at a time when New Zealand has been amongst the world leaders in education for over a decade. The latest OECD report from 2012, reviewing and evaluating the assessment of education in New Zealand, confirmed this view. And again, the Programme for International Student Assessment confirmed this view. In the latest survey, New Zealand students were ranked 4th in the OECD in reading literacy, 4th in scientific literacy, and 7th in mathematical literacy. And it's not easy to maintain these rankings. And New Zealand has consistently maintained these rankings since they were introduced in 2000. And in contrast, Australia has recorded a significant decline. England has also slipped significantly. And the US, the home of charter schools, has only managed to be about average in the OECD. New Zealand is better than average. I do not want to see us reduced to average. And while I say this, I am not in any way suggesting that there's not room for improvement. A proportion of our young people, 1 in 5, as we keep on hearing from that side of the House, are not achieving their full potential. And I'm not going to minimise the significance of that, because the Greens want every child to be able to reach their potential. But when the Waitangi Tribunal, after hearing all the evidence, found the Crown has failed kohanga due to government policy and funding decisions, we can see where some of the problems lie. When government has withdrawn funding for the very few Pacific language resources that we had, we can see where some of the problems lie. When feedback regarding Oars funding has been identifying significant barriers for students with disabilities for years, we can see where some of the problems lie. When 270,000 children in this country are living in poverty, and the medical evidence shows a direct correlation between poverty and IQ development, and we know it's hard to learn when you're hungry or worried sick about your parents, we can see where some of the problems lie. The failure lies at the feet of government, not our schools. This bill seeks to shift the blame. It's a psycho act of transference. I know, it was a good line, wasn't it? I quite like that. To try to lift educational achievement for the bottom quintile by ignoring all of these factors and setting up charter schools and forcing national standards is counterproductive, to put it in my most minimal, non-emotive terms. Even the Educational Policy Response Group, which consists of 12 College of Education experts, they reviewed charter schools in other countries and looked at the evidence and what it would mean for New Zealand. Their group convener, Professor Emeritus Ivan Snook, noted, "The evidence is clear that charter schools have the potential to cause harm to the very groups of students they are supposed to help." And here I will echo their final warning, which has been proven overseas, that charter schools cream the most motivated or talented students from other schools and cleanse their own schools of those who are most difficult or expensive to teach, and distort the fair distribution of teachers across the system and siphon money away from existing programs for the most disadvantaged students. So that is this government's response to the 1 in 5 who are trailing, to take and take and take. I know which babies are going to be thrown out in this ideological bath, and it will not help any of them to live good lives or fair futures.
I call Simon O'Connor.
Mr. Speaker, if this from the